Somewhere between Copilot, Python, ChatGPT, and agent mode, Excel stopped being a tool and turned into a coworker. And not the annoying kind of coworker. The kind of coworker that's finished all of your reports before you've even finished your coffee order. In this video, I'm going to walk you through all of the amazing new ways that you can automate Excel to save hours every week. This is going to include everything from Copilot built right into Excel to using ChatGPT, Python in Excel, and agent mode. All of this in the tool that you already know and love. If that sounds good, let's get rolling. So let's get started with a couple of features built right into Excel. This is going to include things like Copilot and Analyze Data, one of the oldest AI functions available in Excel. Analyze Data. Now, if you come to the Home tab and you come all the way over to the right, you're going to find this button right here that says Analyze Data. You want to make sure you've got some data that can analyze. Here I've got a table of a P&L financial statement for the F9 Finance coffee shop. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the Analyze Data button. The Analyze window will come up, and in just seconds, it has analyzed it. The really cool thing is you can ask questions, and it's going to prompt you different things that you can ask. It's going to give you some insights. You can insert a pivot table straight from the insights it's giving you. It'll give you values by versions, locations. It's automatically broken down actuals and budget. And then it's recommending some pivot charts and charts. So what account is giving you the value, its sales revenue. So many cool options, just automatically reading your data set. All right, let's go ahead and ask it a question just to see what it comes back with. I'm going to go ahead and paste a question in. Which of my locations has the highest value in the account sales revenue? So which of my 3 locations has the most revenue in this period? We'll go ahead and hit send and see what we get back. It has said we have Hell's Kitchen. I can insert a pivot table straight away if I want to, but Hell's Kitchen has the most sales revenue. Look at that. In just seconds, we are analyzing an entire table of data without having to do any of the analysis ourselves. How cool is that? Have any questions so far? Go ahead and leave them down in the comments. I read and respond to every single one, and I'm more than happy to help. Copilot in Excel. So I can come up here to this window for Copilot. Now you do need to have a Copilot subscription and be using Office 365 to see this. You're going to have a lot more flexibility using the ChatGPT method we looked at, as well as Analyze Data. But when you click this, the Copilot window comes up, and it's going to start suggesting different things you can do. So here we are in Excel, and I've got a table of all of the transactions from my point of sale system for the F9 Finance coffee shop that I want to work with. Now we'll come up here to the top right and we're going to open the Copilot window. Now Copilot will give us some suggestions, but we're going to go ahead and say, using table transactions, forecast the next 3 months of sales using Python. Yes, that's right. You can prompt Copilot to use Python right in Excel. We'll go ahead and hit send and we'll see what we get back. So Copilot has come back. It used a time series forecasting approach to forecast based on the transaction date column, aggregating that and then doing our forecast for us. So you can see down here, if you want to see the Python code that it generated and ran, here's all of it. It queried pandas, one of the most common Python libraries. And here is all of the Python it wrote for us to analyze our data straight in Excel. This was an example of the output. I asked it to be popped over to a new sheet. So here is your forecast based on all of this messy transaction POS data. It's been able to consolidate it down and do a forecast of 35,000 transactions over the next 3 months. How cool is that? You just got an entire Python forecast without leaving Excel or writing a single line of code. It's the AI functions. Now, Equals Copilot has been getting a lot of press. There's a really cool new function in beta testing where you can do Equals Copilot and then feed prompts right into Copilot, referencing your data, referencing things dynamically, pulling up commentary, analyzing sentiment, all kinds of cool stuff you can do. The challenge is a lot of people aren't able to get access to it. If you're on an enterprise account, most organizations have not enabled beta testing, so the average user doesn't have access to this. But there's a way to get very similar functionality in a way that was developed a little bit before Copilot without having the restriction of needing to be given access to Equals Copilot. And that way is through the Excel Labs. So let me show you how to get the Excel Labs. You'll see I already have it installed, but let's say that I didn't. You want to go to your add-ins, you want to search for add-ins, and just search for Excel Labs. Excel Labs is going to come right up for you. It's going to look like this. You click that button, it's going to add immediately. And then when you click Excel Labs, several options of whatever Microsoft's testing at the moment is going to come up. We've got agent mode here. That's going to be number 5. Spoiler alert. We've got advanced formula environment, labs.generative AI. This is what we're going to take a look at right now. And then the Python editor. So let's go ahead and open this up. And these are all of the instructions for what you can do with this and how you can use it. The moment you turn this on, you're going to have access to a function called equals labs.generative AI. The functionality is nearly identical to Copilot. The only difference is you have to point it to your OpenAI account, whereas equals Copilot will use your existing Copilot. So to that point, if I scroll down here, you'll see you have this API key. I've got my OpenAI API key right here, and that's going to point it over to OpenAI. But again, it's so much more flexible because you aren't restricted by having Microsoft give you access to it, and you aren't restricted by having to use a Copilot subscription. So it's a lot more flexible. So since we've got a financial statement model here, let's go ahead and go over and see if we can have this help us pull some inputs. So let's say for our first input, we want this to be target cost of sales. Okay, we can go here and do this. We can say equals labs.generative AI. My prompt is going to be, what is an optimal cost of sales % for a coffee shop? Okay, so that's our prompt. Our temperature, we want this to be fairly repeatable, so we'll do a 0.2. And then for this easy question, I don't care about max tokens or the model since I already have it set. We'll hit enter. Hashtag busy means it's running and it's contacting OpenAI for a response. And here's the answer. An optimal cost of sales percentage for a coffee shop typically ranges from 25 to 35%. Now, this is really great, but I just realized I wanted to output a number. So let's go ahead and add in, output this as a single percentage. All right, let's try that again. Okay, much better. That time we got a shorter answer. Still a little bit longer than I would like. I would probably like to have it give me just the number, but we did get it down to a single number. It's saying 25%, so that's the input we can use. Let's try another one. We can say target labor cost. Okay, I'm gonna pull this one down, and we can say, what is an optimal labor % for a coffee shop? I'll put this as a single percentage, and it's gonna be running again. So an optimal percentage for a coffee shop is typically around 30%. So now we've got our targets. We want to make sure that our cost of sales is 25% or below, and we want our labor to be 30% or below. What a cool way to be able to pull inputs in. There's even another thing that I was playing with. You can actually get this to generate some tables if you put it inside the text split function. I've got a formula here because this one's long. I didn't want you to watch me type it out. So this formula is going to say equals text split. It's going to ask me to give me a macros depreciation table for a 5, 7, and 10-year asset. That's everything we'd be using in a coffee shop aside from really the building itself. It's going to split them using the line. So here it is using text split. It's fed it into multiple columns. The response of our prompt you'll see is still right here. And then it's feeding over here. So it looks like I've got my 5-year right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. Then it's got my 7-year. And then it's going to go over to my 10-year. So a really cool way to pull things in. Again, the equals Copilot function has a lot of bells and whistles, but it's really inaccessible to a large population of Excel users, and you're going to have much better luck getting access to this through Excel Labs. If you haven't already, make sure to click the link down in the description and join my free weekly newsletter, Finance Automation Insider. I post tips, tricks, and hacks just like this every single week, and I don't want you to miss a thing. Plus, when you sign up, I'll send you a free copy of my guide to 15 5-minute finance automations that you can use today. So click the link down in the description and start saving time right now. Now that we've seen what's built right into Excel, let's see how ChatGPT can help us supercharge and automate our workbooks. You can use tools like ChatGPT and Claude to create an Excel file so you don't have to start your Excel file from scratch. So you see I've got ChatGPT up, and this is where you can direct it to create a usable Excel file that you can open up and start working with immediately. So I'm going to give it one of my favorite prompts. I'm going to say, act as a financial analyst. I need your help building a simple but functional 3-statement model. If you don't know a 3-statement model, this is where you have a file that connects the income statement, the balance sheet, and the statement of cash flows for forecasting purposes. So it's a very common thing that you would ask an analyst to do. It's used in a lot of finance functions, and I'm going to have ChatGPT build the template for us. It's a great way to generate templates that you can just start working with. Output this as a usable Excel file. All right, and we're gonna hit send and see what we get back. And Excel has already come back and said it's built the model for us. We can go ahead and click this. You see it ends in .xlsx. It has given us a downloadable 3-statement model. So here we've opened up the 3-statement model that ChatGPT gave us, and it is basic, but it is fully functional. Look at this. If I come down here to something like taxes, this is using math, it's using formulas, it's got the income statement, the balance sheet, the cash flow, and it did that in under 20 seconds. So it's a great way to generate templates that you can come into Excel and immediately start working with and shave off kind of that initial prep time. Wow, how cool is this? If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I post brand new videos every single week and I don't want you to miss a thing. Now let's check out Python in Excel and how we can use ChatGPT to supercharge Python in Excel and automate even more in our workbooks. So let's get started with the easy way to use Python in Excel. First of all, why use Python in Excel? Because you can use Excel as the front end, the Excel you know and love, while Python and its advanced automation features powers the back end. No switching tools. Everything you need is going to run right inside your workbook in the tool you already know and love. You can automate, clean, forecast data with one click, and better still, there's no IT setup, no coding degree, no copy-paste chaos. You're going to do all of this automation without writing a single line of code. There are so many use cases for finance with Python and Excel. There's everything from data cleanup, you can merge, map, and normalize your ERP exports. Forecasting, you can build trend, regression, or scenario models right in Excel with Python. There's variance and KPI analysis. You can literally automate your monthly comparisons between files. There's cash flow modeling. You can calculate drivers, run sensitivity analysis, generate free cash flow statements. And there's reporting. You'll find Python is really dynamic at generating tables and charts that can automatically refresh, and they can generate them in more detail and so much faster than inserting a table in Excel ever could. So how do you get Python set up? Well, first of all, it's available on the current channel for business and enterprise. So if you have a business or enterprise subscription through work, you're going to find that that has Python ready to go. If you're in an education or family account personally, you're going to need to turn on preview mode and then it will be available. It's not going to be available by default. Python for Excel runs in the cloud. There's no installation. You don't need to have Python locally. If for some reason you have Python locally, anything you've done to that Python environment will not impact Excel. You'll have to redo all those adjustments because this is going to be its own cloud environment. Python in Excel already has Python libraries preloaded. This is a group of code that lets you do different functions. Pandas, NumPy, Matplotlib, and stats models. These are all data science packages that Python's going to be able to call on to use some advanced functions without you having to recreate the code. And also, this is a secure sandbox. It's safe for corporate environments because it's going to run on your computer or on your company's secured server as part of your Office 365. So there's no worries about data integrity or any security issues. So here we are in Excel. I've got a data file up. This is the point of sale transaction data for the F9 Finance coffee shop. And we're going to use Python to work with this data set. Now, if you want access to this data set to follow along, as well as the Google Sheet that has all of the code we're going to look at, go ahead and click the link down in the description, and you can get access to all these files to follow along. So we're on the Home tab right now. To get started with Python, you're going to go to the Formulas tab. Now, this is going to look very similar if you're in Excel on the desktop or if you're in Excel on the web. It will be on the Formulas tab if you have access to it. Again, I mentioned the business and enterprise plans have access to it automatically. It's just going to show up. I'm on an Office 365 business plan that I use for F9 Finance. If you're on other versions of Office 365, or if you're not using Office 365, it won't be available to you and you'll need to upgrade to access it. But here on the Formulas tab, you're going to see Python is right here. There's two ways to insert Python into a cell. First, you can click Insert Python and it will automatically enable it. Once the cell turns green and says PY for Python, you know it's enabled. We'll go ahead and close this out. The other way is to type equals PY, do the open bracket, and then it's going to convert to a Python cell exactly the same way. If you want to reset your Python, you can simply click this button. If you want to access the editor, you can simply click this button. This is going to start to populate as we work with Python in the workbook. It allows you to edit any of the Python you've loaded. And then if you want to get really fancy and start customizing how your Python environment runs, you can go to initialization. This is outside the scope of the video, but something we'll definitely cover in the future as we get more advanced using Python. So to get started and show you the basics of how Python works, we're going to use a code with dummy data in it, just so you can try this out for the first time. You can replicate exactly what I've got on my screen and learn all of the basics of working with code in Excel. So if you've opened the Google Doc, go ahead and go to the Google Doc and you're going to want to get code 1. And you're going to want to copy code 1 from import numpy as NP. That's going to be pulling in one of those libraries. And you're going to want to copy all the way down right before we get to code number 2. The last line is going to be plt.show. So copy all of that in. Then go to cell B2. We're going to hit equals py. We're going to open that, and now it's in Python. We can paste our formula in. You'll see it all pastes here. You can also drag this down if you want to see more of the code. And then when you're ready to run the Python code, you click Control Enter. If you hit Enter, it's just going to space down in the Python editor. So you want to hit Control Enter. All right, so we've gotten our Python run, and now you'll see py image. Okay, so that is the cell the Python's run in, but it doesn't want to just take over our Excel workbook, so we have to tell it how we want it to show that. So let's go ahead and right-click on this. So let's go ahead and right-click on py image. There's two options. You can go to Picture in Cell and hit Create Reference. That's going to allow what we created to expand. Or you can come down here and hit Display Plot over Cells within the Python options. Let's go ahead and hit that. So here is our sensitivity analysis. Now, what I asked it to do is to model the rate and volume impact of how raising prices could impact the total revenue for the coffee shop. So Python was able to not only run that entire sensitivity analysis from the dummy data that we prompted it, it was also able to generate this chart. Now, if you're watching this video, you've worked in Excel and you've built charts in Excel, and you know how long something like this could take with the different shading, the different colors, getting all of the formats, getting the revenue, getting the legend, getting this all looking so nice. And Python was able to do that in literally seconds. So think about just from how fast that was as we get ready to connect this to our real data, how much you can do with this and how powerful this really can be. All right, so that's our one example. Let's go ahead and move on to our second example. So we'll go ahead and clear that out. Now, if you're following along in the doc, go down to code number 2. We're going to want to start by the import numpy as npy, and we're going to go all the way down to right before prompt number 3. All right, and we're going to stop again at plt.show. So we're going to go back to B2 again. We're going to do equals py. We'll paste in our code, and then we will hit Control Enter to run it. Now, just like before, it's going to give us the py image. We'll right click and we'll go ahead and expand this with display plot over cells. Wow, and look at that, in just seconds, we got 2 entire charts. Now, what I asked it to do in this code was, again with dummy data, to look at product mix for our coffee shop. So in the top one, you'll see product mix over time and how each type of product mix is changing. You'll see we're getting a little bit more in seasonal, so clearly this was kind of around that Halloween time frame, pumpkin spice lattes. Aside from that, you can see all the fluctuations and then a little bit of a change as we get towards the end of the year. And down here, you'll see the impact of the product mix on gross margin. We can expand this down and make sure we can see everything. And there's all of our months and how the gross margin is changing. So we'll see that we actually do a little bit better as we get into the seasonal time frame. So this seasonal bump actually helps our gross margin. Now, again, we're working with dummy data, but look how fast that was. 2 entire charts that would probably take you 30 minutes to get to this level of formatting in Excel, set up to automatically update. And now again, once we connect it to our data, it's going to be incredibly powerful. You'll find that Python works through a concept called data frames. This is how you input data into Python. You're able to input either an Excel table or a Power Query output. Power Query output's great because you can already do some data transformation before Python, so Python can just do the advanced steps. Excel is going to pass the range from the input data into the Python cell, as I'll show you. Python then is going to transform, calculate, or forecast based on what's in that data frame. Then when it's done, all the results will still back into an Excel table, back into a data frame where it's ready for charting or any other analysis you need to do. All right, so now that we've worked with the dummy data to show you just how powerful this can be and that you're comfortable with pasting in the Python and running it, now we're going to create a data frame and work with our own data. So to create a data frame, it's very simple. We're going to do equals py again to open up Python. Now we're going to type the name we want. So I'm going to use transactions. Do note that Python is case sensitive, so you have to keep everything with the correct casing. I highly recommend when you work with Python, just keep everything lowercase for consistency. That's the best practice that I've learned as I work with kind of any kind of coding language. Just keep it all lowercase when you can. Transactions equals, and then we're going to reference where our data set is. So I'm going to come over here. We'll select our entire transaction data set if you're following along. And you'll see up here, transactions is going to reference Excel. It's going to be all of table 1, headers are true. And we'll go ahead and do Control Enter to run that. Once it processes, it's going to go and be busy for a little bit. It's going to pull all of the data in. When it comes back and says PY data frame, then we know all the data is processed and our data frame is ready to use. All right, and just like that, our data frame has come back. You'll see PY data frame. Now, if you want it to be crazy, if you right click on this, you go to Python output and Excel value, it's going to expand all of the data. That's going to be really important for our Python outputs. I highly recommend you don't click that on your Python inputs, because what it's going to do is it's going to take that massive transaction tab and it's just going to expand it on this tab. You don't need that. But you will need to know how to expand this when we do one of our examples later where we have Python create a data table for us. But for now, we can just leave this as is. And then it's time to run our code. And this is where we're going to turn to ChatGPT so that you can build custom code for your data set without having to write it. Now, I mentioned we're going to do this without writing a single line of code, and this is where AI comes in. We're going to use AI to write all of our Python, prompting it in plain language. And this is a framework that I use. It's based on my Spark framework, if you're familiar with that. If not, click the link to this video that'll explain everything you need to know about AI prompting. But this is a Python-specific adaptation of that. We're going to start by saying act as a data scientist so ChatGPT knows what we expect of it. We're then going to say, I need your help writing Python code for Excel. Then say, I want to, and this is where you'll tell it what you want it to do. I want to create this type of chart. I want to run a forecast, whatever you want it to do. My data is in a data frame called insert the data frame here. Typically, I'll have something like transactions, point of sale, general ledger, something along those lines. And then the data looks like this. You can literally just copy and paste the first few rows of your data set so it can see what it looks like. It can see the formatting, and then it can build the script based on that versus trying to tell it all the columns and the data formats you have. All right, so now if you scroll down to prompt number 3, not code number 3 this time, I do have some sample code there just in case you have any issues with troubleshooting. But let's go to prompt number 3. We're going to copy this in. Act as a data scientist. I need your help writing Python for Excel. I want to build a chart that analyzes the performance of 3 store locations by hour and how they are different from each other. My data is in a data frame called transactions, and the data is organized like this. And for that part, we simply have to go to our Excel file. We're going to come to transactions, and we're just going to take, I usually do like the top 4 or 5 rows, and we're going to get all of the headers and the data formats and just paste that right into ChatGPT so it knows what we're working with. So we'll paste this into ChatGPT. There's our data, and we'll send it away and see what we get back. Now, for reference, I am using ChatGPT. I am on a pro plan, but I'm not using any pro features. This is just the regular ChatGPT 5 model. For this, the only difference on the pro plan is that I've got significantly more queries than if you're on a free plan, but everything I'm showing you is totally doable on the free plan. Again, I'm not using any pro features for the example. So this is exactly what you can get back without spending a dime. Python and Excel's for free, and the way we're using ChatGPT 5 is free right now. Nothing costs money in this example. All right, and here we've got our code coming back. So you'll see it gave us a little bit of an explanation, and then it's writing out all of our code for us. Look at that. All right, and then it's going to say how to use it, what you need to do with this, if you need to make any changes. You'll notice a lot of times it's going to give you optional items. You don't need to use these, only if you want to. But we're going to go ahead and copy that code and put it into Python. All right, so here we are in Excel. We're going to go equals PY, and then we're going to paste in our code, and we'll hit Control Enter to run it. Now, should you have any issues with the code that ChatGPT gave you off the bat, it's really easy to give ChatGPT the error you get back and say, I got this error, help me troubleshoot. Usually in 1 or 2 times, it's going to get it right for you. But just so you can keep following along with the video, in case you do get an error and you want to come back later and work on it, I have sample code listed as code number 3 for this. That's going to give you the result we're looking for. I had ChatGPT build using this exact prompt, so it's the output that we're looking for, just in case you have any troubleshooting and want to keep following along. All right, so now you see it says image. We're going to right click just like we did before, display plot over the cells, and here is our analysis of transactions by hour. Now, the ChatGPT prompt, it looks like it gave us 2 different options. The first one is the raw transactions over hour, and the second one is the hourly share. Now, what's really interesting here is the biggest trend you notice is that lower Manhattan just falls off an absolute cliff. Now, that makes sense if you think about Manhattan. Probably a lot more office workers versus Hell's Kitchen, you're going to have a lot more residents. So Hell's Kitchen is having more traffic in the afternoon, whereas Manhattan in a business district is really just falling off a cliff. Conversely, Lower Manhattan has the highest business early in the day as people are coming in to work. So really great analysis. This is connected to our actual data set. So think about the ability, if you can pull in ERP exports, build this Python code to generate your charts, they're already pretty darn well formatted, and you can have ChatGPT tweak the colors if you need to, if you have some kind of business scheme you need, and they're ready to copy and paste right into a deck in just seconds. How cool is that? Now, this would not be a Python example if we didn't show you how to run a forecast. So now let's look at how we can run a forecast off of our transaction data to see how our next few months might work. Now, this is going to run off exactly the same data frame. It's still our transaction set. We don't need to change that. We just need to go back to ChatGPT and get a different prompt. So let's do that right now. This prompt for you, if you're following along, is prompt number 4. We'll go ahead and paste that in, and then I can just come back and get the exact same data. I don't need to get new data because it's the same data set. So we'll go ahead and pop that in there. Act as a data scientist. I need your help writing Python for Excel. I want to build a forecast for the next 6 months and output in a table by week. My data is in a data frame called transactions, and the data is organized like this. All right, we're going to go ahead and send that off and see what we get back. All right, and now we've got our code coming back. So it's got all of our Python. It's going to do our imports. Again, it has some kind of instructions for us of what it's going to do. Our whole forecast model is coming together here. All right, here's all of our code, and then here are the how to use it, kind of the quick playbooks. And again, we'll see if there's anything kind of optional. No, this is all code we need. So we'll go ahead and copy that code, and we will bring it over to our Excel. Okay, we're going to come over here. We'll type in equals py again, open our Python, paste it in, and then Control Enter to run it. And again, if you have any issues, you can ask ChatGPT to troubleshoot, give it the error message you're receiving, and it will tweak it for you. But I also, again, have code under code number 4. If you want to just keep following along with the video and come back later to troubleshoot, you can use that code and it will give the example that we're looking for. All right, so now, like I mentioned, data comes into Python from Excel in a data frame. Python also outputs in a data frame if that's what you ask for. In this case, we asked for a data table. So we can go ahead and right click this. We're going to go to Python output, switch to Excel value, and it's going to expand into a table. And there is our table. So this is our forecast. If you're familiar with statistics at all, these are our forecasting intervals, but this is the base forecast quantity we're looking for. So this is our forecast of transactions across time. You can tell that over time, we slowly are ramping up. Our business is growing. That's great news. And the data set was for January through June 2023, and this has accurately given us the other 26 weeks of the year that were not included in the file. So again, just think about how quickly we built that forecast versus what it would have taken in Excel for us to model. This opens up a whole world of possibility. If you ever run out of ideas, just ask ChatGPT. Say, hey, I have this problem that I'm working through. Is this something that Python for Excel could help with? It will help you with that, and it will help you write all of the code. So this is how you automate your entire Excel workbook without writing a single line of code. Now it's time for the tool that made my jaw drop, Agent Mode in Excel. This brand new tool from Excel Labs is going to blow your mind. You won't believe how much this can do with just the click of a button. Now, if you're not familiar with agents, a very quick introduction. Agents are AI models that can make decisions and run multi-step processes by themselves. In a traditional chatbot like a ChatGPT, you give it a prompt, it gives you a response. You give it another prompt, it gives you a response. In agent mode, it can actually reason and think and run multi-step processes without you having to intervene. It can plan out a process to deliver a goal or an outcome you've given it, and then it can run that process and adjust along the way. If something doesn't work, it can see it's not working and it can change its plan of attack without coming back to you. That's the main difference between agents and AI. You can think about it as one step before you have to give input versus multi-step, or you can think about it as giving specific response versus giving it a goal and setting it to accomplish it. Now, I mentioned this is only available in labs. It's also only available in the cloud-based version of Office 365 at the moment. So make sure that you go into the cloud, not into the desktop app. And then you're going to want to look for this button right here to go to add-ins. So I'm going to click add-ins. Now, I've already got it installed, but what you'll want to do is you'll want to search for Excel Labs. Then a button is going to come up that looks just like this. It'll be down here though. You'll hit add. I'll go ahead and open it up. And then the Excel Labs window is going to open on the right. Now, there's 4 different labs that Microsoft is testing at the moment. We've got the agent mode, which is in the Frontier program. We've got the advanced formula editor. we've got the generative AI function, and we've got the Python editor. But again, for today, we'll look at our agent mode. So here's agent mode. It looks a lot like a Copilot window, but again, it's going to have the ability to run multi-step processes and truly control Excel and work with different kinds of data, whereas Copilot is really restricted to well-structured data sitting in tables. Agent mode can do nearly anything in Excel that you could do. There's no better way to learn what agent mode in Excel can do and what it can't do than by asking agent mode to build us a file telling us. So let's go ahead and set that up right now. Now, this may seem like a pretty basic question, but if you think about it, it's actually a lot of steps. We're going to ask it to create a new tab. We're going to ask it to build columns there. We're going to ask it to kind of do its own formatting. It's going to have to go through all these steps. Plus, it's going to have to reason about the question and understand kind of its own capabilities. So let's go ahead and put in a prompt. This prompt's going to say, create a tab with 2 columns telling me what you can do in Excel and what you still can't do in Excel. We'll go ahead and send that away and we'll see what we get back. All right, you'll see agent mode is already reasoning because again, it's going to run through multiple steps for us and it wants to make sure it really understands the question and it's making decisions. It's deciding on a sheet name. It's finalizing a table structure. It's going through all of these different steps. Again, instead of that, I send a prompt, response, I send a prompt, response. It's going through and making all of the decisions that it needs to make. It's creating the plan to do so, and it's adjusting the plan as it goes along. And look at this. It has given us exactly what we asked for, a list of what it can do and what it can't do. Also, if we look over here in the panel, it's telling us what it did. It reasoned for 103 seconds. It created a new tab, and then it's telling us kind of the steps it did and the assumptions that it made from kind of that reasoning step. So what can it do? It can explore the structure, input and edit data. It can do Excel tables, pivot charts, formatting, conditional formatting, sorting and filtering, dynamic arrays, pivot tables. There's all kinds of things it can do. What can't it do? It can't access or modify other files and workbooks. Makes sense. It can't do macros. It can use Office scripts, so that's interesting. Can't work with Power Query. Can't work with other cubes through Power Query. Can't do kind of custom work. It can really use kind of the core functionality. Can't guarantee compatibility, call API. So really, it can do a lot of what you need it to do. A lot of the things it's talking about are pretty advanced features or things that aren't really kind of core functionality to Excel. So that's really cool. All right, so now let's move on to our next example, which is going to be building a 3-statement model in Excel. So having it set up an entire 3-statement model, kind of that core finance function of the income statement, the balance sheet, and the cash flow statement. It's on every probably finance test you've ever taken. And let's see how Excel agent mode handles this. So I'm going to give it a prompt. Now, you know, if you've watched my videos that I have the Spark framework, which is a way to get the best responses out of AI models. I am intentionally not using that because I want to show you just how much thinking and decision-making power agent mode has on its own. I'm going to give it the very broad task to create a fully functional 3-statement model for a chain of 3 coffee shops. That's all I'm going to prompt it. I'm going to hit send, and then we're going to see what we get back. So agent mode is starting its reasoning process with building the financial model and the approach it's going to take. You can see, again, it's planning. Regular AI tools can't plan, but it can create a plan and run a multi-step process and design, as we see now, setting up a model structure that it wants to run. Now, I will note that because the agents can do so much complex work, this can take 10, 15, even 20 minutes, but in that amount of time, it's doing work that would take you hours, so it's well worth the wait. But in the interest of time, we see the model is working, we see it understands our task and it's getting to work, so let's jump ahead and see what the model gives us. So let's go back to our very first example when we did ChatGPT to build a very basic 3-statement model. Let's see what happens when we feed it into an agent instead of a chatbot and the difference we get back. So I'm going to paste this in, create a fully functional 3-statement model for a chain of 3 coffee shops. I'm not following my AI prompting framework, the Spark framework, because I want to show you just how little guidance it needs to give you the output it's looking for. So we want a fully functional 3-statement model back. Let's see what happens. All right, agent mode's running and it has started its reasoning process. So agent mode reasoned for kind of in the 15 to 20 minute range because it was doing some really serious work. Now that's one of the things to know about the agents is it's not going to be the couple of second response you get from a chatbot, but that's because it's doing hours worth of work for you. It's going off, it's doing it. You can let this run and go do something else, but let's see what we got out of this. So we have the agent mode. It's understanding our task. The goal was to build a fully functional linked 3-statement model. It's saying I need to create all of these things. I need assumptions, drivers, schedules, income statements. I want to output them on different sheets with a 5-year timeline. It's listing out some assumptions it will use that we can change later. And then this is the plan it was going to work through. So it was going to do these 11 things and then make sure that it tied out. Again, a reason for 990 seconds before it started working. Went back saying, here's all of the things I need to do. I'm going to go through and work through all these, and then what it created and where to find it. So it gave us instructions saying, here's where I put everything. Here's how I formatted it. All of the assumptions it used and why it used them. What drivers it's using on the different driver sheets. This is really cool. The schedules, we've got CapEx, depreciation, working capital. Man, this is better than some financial statements I've seen out in the wild. Cash flow sheet, balance sheet, giving us all kinds of instructions on how to use this. It even went through verification and completion, and it fixed some stuff during the build that it noticed was wrong. This is not something you would ever see out of a regular chatbot like Copilot. And then here's how to use and change the model, and then some formula examples that you can learn from. We can come over here and take a look. So here's our full assumptions table. This is somewhere we could kind of go and do all the edits. We come into drivers, so we've got a number of shops coming from the assumption table. A lot of this is pointing back to assumptions, or it's doing calculations. If I come over to the schedules, here's our PPE, depreciation, inventory. Again, all of this going back to drivers and assumptions. It is all linked up. It's built this, it's tested it. It's got our income statement here. This is all, again, linked up. You'll see it's linking to schedules and drivers and doing the math. It's even given us some charts so we can look at our revenue versus our net income. Here's our cash flow statement. Again, all linked up just like we want it to be. And then our balance sheet, and the balance sheet indeed balances. We just watched AI think, reason, and build an entire financial statement model without us having to touch a thing. All right, so far we've asked Agent Mode to tell us what it can and can't do to kind of demonstrate that reasoning capability and the ability to really think dynamically about what you're asking. We've demonstrated the capability of Agent Mode to build an entire fully functional 3-statement model. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to have it work with your own data and see what happens. So I've got here the transaction data. This is for our F9 Finance coffee shop with 3 different locations. And I want it to work with the point of sale data and create a dashboard. Now think about how many steps that is. You have to go in, you have to understand the data. You have to go in and then you have to decide what visuals are best. Then you have to actually build the dashboard. It's a lot of steps. So let's throw this at Agent Mode and see what happens. All right, so we've got our Agent Mode panel. Let's go ahead and paste in our prompt. Again, we're going to use pretty basic prompts just to see what we can get out of this. So I'm saying I want you to use table transactions to build a fully functional dashboard. That's this point of sale data here. This table has point of sale data for a chain of coffee shops. Make sure the dashboard is easy to use, well formatted, and fully functional with no errors. So let's go ahead and send that off. Let Agent Mode do its magic and see what we get back. All right, and Agent Mode has kicked off its reasoning process. It's starting to plan the dashboard structure, starting to understand the question. Again, that's the biggest difference between kind of the generative AI chatbots and agents, is that they can plan, decide steps, and also adjust along the way if things don't go as expected. So Agent Mode is finalizing the dashboard. It's shifting to the formula-based work it needs to do. And you'll see down below, I don't want to click on them and kind of disrupt the magic, but it's already created 2 new tabs for our dashboard and our dashboard pivots. It's still going. Can't wait to see what we get back. And Agent Mode has come back. It reasoned for 733 seconds and is excited to tell us the dashboard is ready. It's telling us what it did. It built the dashboard, it has some key KPIs, it's explaining the visuals, clean formatting, made sure that there were no NA or spill errors, explaining how it's worked, and what's on the dashboard as a quick guide. So now the moment of truth, let's go over to the dashboard tab and see what it built. So you know what? It's not perfect, but it did a pretty darn good job. We've got some drop downs here that I can change between my stores. It's going to do this. It's going to filter. You'll see all the units change, the transaction change. It's fully functional. Looks like I can go to a specific month if I want to. Let's go to February and see what happens. All right, and all of it is updated to February up here. That is really cool. We've got some overviews here of units by month, of the categories. We've got monthly units. Again, not perfect. There's a couple of things we'd want to tweak down here. We might even be able to ask Agent Mode to tweak if we wanted to. And then it's built a heat map. So with just one prompt, we have a functioning dashboard. Again, we're going to want to tweak it. AI is still kind of new in its infancy, but think about what we just did with a simple prompt. With no additional guidance, it's been able to work with our entire data set. It was able to think about what we asked it to build. It was able to decide how to use the data, what charts were best, and then to start building them. So even if we have to go in and tweak the last few things, even if it's just 80% of the work, It did all of that thinking on its own. This is an absolute step change in AI's capabilities, and the fact that it's right in Excel is even better. Because if there's one thing that will always be true about finance, it's that you can never take people's Excel spreadsheets away from them. If you've enjoyed this video and want even more automation, then make sure to check out my video about 15 totally free automation tools. I'll put the link right up here. Again, this is going to take you through 15 entirely free finance automation tools that will save you even more time than what you just saw. I'll catch you over there. Until then, this is Mike signing off from F9 Finance. Cheers.